Hello and welcome to the Boxing Today show. I hope you all are subscribed to the channel. Our top story today is the Lomachenko against Lopez fight that happened last night or in the early hours of this morning. So Teofimo Lopez is now the undisputed lightweight champion of the world after beating Lomachenko by unanimous decision. I guess he's kind of the undisputed lightweight champion of the world apart from Devin Haney, who obviously holds the WBC world title because Lomachenko got upgraded to franchise champion because the WBC are always mucking around with those kind of things. And Lopez actually called out what he called the two-time email champion of the world, Devin Haney, after the fight, which I thought was quite funny. Obviously referring to the fact that Devin Haney never has actually won his world title in the ring. He was just sent an email by the WBC because Lomachenko got elevated to franchise champion. It wasn't the most appealing fight in the world to the casual fan, but it was a good quality fight nonetheless. Lomachenko took a very long time to get going at the start, barely threw a meaningful punch until the 8th round. He seemed very wary of Lopez's size and power advantages and didn't really want to commit. He was basically just boxing defensively, just working on his footwork, evading shots, sort of getting in and out, but not really throwing anything. It was quite strange. At first, I thought he was just taking his time figuring out Lopez, but then it took him till the 8th round to actually get going, and Lopez just picked him off with the jab from range and consistently offset him with right hands and left hooks to the body as the fight went on. Just not landing anything crazy, just sort of winning each round, which definitely wasn't how people thought. Well, definitely wasn't how I thought the fight was going to go going into it. I thought if anyone was going to be sort of picking their shots and moving, that would be Lomachenko. And I thought Lopez would be looking for the big knockout shot. But Lomachenko, he wasn't looking for the big knockout shot, but he was almost boxing as if he was, because he just wasn't throwing any little jabs or anything like that, really. But then, Lomachenko came alive in the 8th. It was almost as if he realised he'd been letting the fight slip. But it was almost too late at that point. I had Lopez one round up going into the 12th because Lomachenko obviously found his rhythm over the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and I thought he won most of those rounds. Then in the 12th, I thought he was all to play for, and that was where Lopez really showed his quality. Lomachenko had found a rhythm, he was starting to land, but Lopez still managed to outbox him, and I thought he won the 12th quite convincingly. One of the judges' scorecards was extremely wide, but ultimately I don't think that really matters as the right man won in the end. Teofimo Lopez backed up all the chat that him and his father have been giving pre-fight, so fair play to him. And I think this win has got to put him up there with the biggest names in the sport. I mean, he's only 23 years old. If he continues on this trajectory, I think he has the potential to become one of those boxing stars who transcends the sport, like the greats do, like your Mayweathers, Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali's, those kind of guy. Obviously, I'm not saying he's on their level yet, but at 23 years old, to be at this level, I think he can definitely get there by the end of his career. He outboxed the best active pure boxer in the world at the moment, who many consider to be top of the pound for pound list. So then, I guess, where does that put Lopez now in the pound for pound list? He's got to be on that top 10 at least. Apparently, in terms of what he's going to do after this, apparently he's been struggling to make 135 of late. So a fight with Devin Haney or Gervonta Davis when he comes up to lightweight may not be possible, depending on how long that would take to come about. But there are plenty of top quality fighters in the top ranked roster for him to fight at 140, like the winner of the unification fight between Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez, which could make him undisputed world champion in 2 weight classes, which would be an incredible achievement. As for Lomachenko, I think the size difference really showed in this fight, so maybe it's best for him to go back down to 130 where he's more comfortable, because I know a lot was made of his age, but I don't think he looked particularly old in there. He still had good movement, good footwork, he still looked quick. So I think he has plenty of good fights left in him. But obviously there's no rematch clause, as Bob Arum said before the fight, so an immediate rematch might be unlikely. Also, to talk about is the Ritson versus Vazquez card that happened in the UK before the Loma versus Lopez card. There's lots of upsets on the card. Kez Ashfaq lost a British title eliminator to his old stablemate and sparring partner Mark Leach, which was a big surprise, and he was knocked down twice in the process. Also, Joe Laws lost as well in a brutal firefight with Ryland Charlton, getting knocked out in the 3rd round. But most of the controversy around that whole card was from the main event between Lewis Ritson and Miguel Vazquez. All the talk beforehand was that Vazquez was past it, but he had good experience and would provide a useful test for Lewis Ritson, but ultimately fall short, and that was definitely not the case. Vazquez showed fast hands and clever footwork from the off, always a step ahead of Ritson, jabbing and moving and throwing the occasional right hand or body shot in there. Ritson looked slow. He was landing occasionally each round, but nothing of significance. And he was just too linear, coming in and out in straight lines with his hands up and just far too predictable for Vazquez, who looked like he might have a few more good years in him after everyone was saying that he was past it. I thought the strange thing was that Ritson's cornermen seemed to be the only people watching who thought Ritson was winning, and so didn't counsel any urgency at any point in the fight. And it turns out, I guess, in the judges' eyes, that Ritson's corner were right, as he won by split decision in the end. And there was a mass uproar online over Terry O'Connor's extremely wide scorecard in Ritson's favour, and there were pictures of him on his phone as the bout was in progress, and that's made a lot of people, including Eddie Hearn, call for the British Boxing Board of Control to investigate O'Connor, as this is not the first time that he submitted an extremely questionable scorecard. I think you have to feel a bit sorry for both men almost, as Ritson's getting a load of abuse online that he doesn't really deserve because he didn't score the fight, he was just the one fighting. But also for Vazquez, this is the second time he's been robbed on British soil, as he was against Ahara Davies. So you must be thinking there's literally nothing you can do apart from get a KO win to win here. And then finally, Crawford against Brook has been announced for November 14th. This seems to be, to me, a similar mismatch to the Amir Khan fight. I'm a huge fan of Kell Brook, and I think he's one of the most talented boxers this country has ever produced, and in his prime, this would have been a great fight. But he's had one fight in the last 2 years, and then even before that, he suffered heavy back-to-back losses to Spence and Golovkin, and I think this is just a step too far for him. But I can understand him taking this fight at this stage of his career because it's almost just too big an opportunity to pass up. But especially at welterweight, which he struggled to get down to in the past, I think this is a stretch too far. I would have liked to see him try and make some waves in the exciting super welterweight division, where I think that weight would have suited him better, and the belts keep changing hands there, and I think he would have had a real shot at becoming a two-weight world champion. But fighting one of the pound-for-pound greats at this stage in his career with no recent form to go off, I think is just a losing battle, although of course I would love to see him win. For Crawford, this is an understandable as a comeback fight after lockdown, and especially because he can't get any of the fights that he really wants because all of those fighters are signed with PBC. So I guess this is just keeping himself busy until the Spence fight comes along, or if the winner of Taylor versus Ramirez steps up in weight. So that's all the stories that we've got for you today. Thanks for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe. Come back for our next episode. Go check out our website, www.boxingindex.co.uk, and go check out our social medias at Boxing Index. Thanks for listening. Cheers. Bye.